Hey, people of God. The reason why I'm doing this video is to talk about how the enemy works. The enemy is always sowing ungodly seeds, always harming and abusing people, always doing stuff to someone and does not want to reap the harvest of that seed that he sowed or she sowed. You're abusing people, but you don't want to be abused. You mistreating people, but you don't want to be mistreated. You sitting up there, you're doing a lot of hurt, but you don't want to be hurt. See, I'm going to tell you something about the enemy. The enemy, that's a cowardly form of you saying, okay, I can send it out, but I don't want it to return to me. Whatever you send out, when you send your roosters out in the morning, at some point they got to come home. If you sit up there and you send trouble out, at some point it got to come back to you. When you sit up there and you hurt someone, at some point you got to reap what you sow. So now they want to use ciphering and all these different forms of spells and twists and switches. And the only reason why they have to switch because they ain't going to stop doing the dirt that they do. They're not going to stop doing the negative stuff that they do. And yes, they do come in forms of pretending like they for you. And they're not. They come in forms pretending like they're going to help you. And they are not. They constantly have to switch out stuff for their greater good. They abuse you to my some. This is helping them. They can't rest unless they do evil, mischief, and trouble. And the word of God says this. So we have to be careful. We have to protect ourselves at all times. And you have to let them know. And there's nothing wrong with you letting the enemy know, look, you cannot harm me and expect not to pay the consequence for harming me, whether now or a million years from now. Somebody's going to have to pay for the damage you've done. Somebody's going to have to pay for the abuse that you've done. Remind you, they sat up there and Joseph was enslaved in Egypt. The whole Egypt went into enslavement. The whole Egypt went into enslavement. You enslaved and had a person captive that was innocent. Now all your people are enslaved. When you sit up there, so they tried to reverse it. So the reverse was the Israelites going up under captivity. But remind you, his brothers had slowed them into slavery anyway. So you got all this going on and stuff, how it switches out and it tears out and all this different stuff, and how these people are going through bondage and stuff like that. And that comes from people just doing evil, mischief, ungodly stuff. There's no God in you. There's no peace in you. You don't even know who you are. So the spirits are taking control. All those Nephilims that have fallen, all the sons of God that have fallen. And yes, we do have a lot of sons of God and women of God and daughters of God that have fallen. And now it's taking positions of authority and working for the devil and working evil works and working to try to keep you in bondage, working to try to keep you enslaved, working to try to keep you from progressing. This is the reason why our people have fallen so far behind. This is the reason why our people don't have degrees and we're not engineering like we used to and we're not growing like we used to because they're trying to stop the growth of a nation. And when I say our people, it's not my color because I'm black. I'm talking about all people. Look at the stunted growth. We have to remove the weeds. We have to remove the switches. We have to remove the tears. We have to do something different because the enemy feels it has authority over you. And guess what? The only way to default it is through God. God's going to tell you who you are. God's going to tell you what you have to do. But guess what? You got a group sitting up there trying to take that from you. So that's them being even more evil. They're trying to take God from you and steal that knowledge from you. So if you never know that if you align yourself with God, that all the chains that they're holding you in, that blindness that you're going through eventually has to clear up, that issue that you're going through eventually got to clear up. That stuff that they set up there and had you in eventually got to clear up. You begin to understand, I don't even have to get married. Marriage was a default. Marriage was, okay, I can't hold myself. I got to get a wife to put myself in, or a husband so that I can release myself on. Marriage was a default. Marriage wasn't really what it was supposed to be. It was a cop-out. But when we start to grow and spiritually mature, we start learning certain things. Okay, I'm better alone. I'm better just serving God. But you'll never learn that because the enemy is plotting. The enemy feels like this is not going to come back to them. They got centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries of stealing where they have done switches, tears, abuse to people, and the people have lost knowledge of God. Centuries of it. We have to change that. Hopefully these words encourage you. Hopefully you guys stay blessed.